Right now, in a fire station in Livermore, California, a light bulb is turned on. It was screwed into the ceiling in the year 1901, and it has been burning almost continuously ever since. It has survived 2 world wars, the invention of the internet, and 21 U.S. presidents. It is over 120 years old, and it still works perfectly. Now I want you to look at the $1,000 smartphone in your pocket. The battery dies by 4 p.m. The screen shatters if it hits the carpet, and after exactly 2 years, it magically becomes too slow to open a basic app. You've been told this is just how technology works. You've been told that modern devices are just complex and delicate, but that is a lie. The truth is, humans perfected the art of making things last over a century ago. But long-lasting products have a fatal flaw. They are terrible for business. If you buy a light bulb that never burns out, you never buy a second one. And the corporations realize this almost immediately. To understand why everything you own is designed to become garbage, we have to travel to Geneva, Switzerland. The date is December 23, 1924. In a closed, smoke-filled room, the executives of the world's largest light bulb manufacturers gathered in secret. Companies like Osram from Germany, Philips from the Netherlands, and General Electric from the United States. They were fierce competitors, but that day they shook hands. They formed the first truly global cartel. They named it the Phoebus Cartel, after the Greek god of light, and they had one singular, devastating goal: to systematically shorten the lifespan of the incandescent light bulb. Before 1924, a standard light bulb easily lasted 2,500 hours. Engineers were competing to make them last even longer. But the cartel realized this was economic suicide, so they passed a secret decree. From that moment on, no light bulb manufactured by a cartel member was allowed to last more than 1,000 hours. They literally instructed their top scientists to make their products worse. Imagine being a brilliant engineer, spending years trying to perfect a filament, only to have your boss tell you to redesign it so it burns out faster. And to make sure nobody cheated, the cartel established a brutal system. They created independent testing laboratories all over the world. Every company had to regularly send samples of their bulbs to be tested. If a company's bulb lasted 1,500 hours, they were hit with a massive financial fine. If it lasted 2,000 hours, the fine was doubled. You were literally punished for making a high-quality product. Within a few years, the average lifespan of a light bulb plummeted to exactly 1,000 hours. Sales exploded. Factories ran day and night. Profits skyrocketed. And you, the consumer, paid for it by buying the exact same bulb over and over again. The Phoebus Cartel eventually dissolved in the 1930s during World War II. But the damage was already done. They had proven that a massive corporation could successfully force people to buy trash. This concept became known as planned obsolescence, and it infected every single industry on Earth. Let's look at the 1940s, the invention of nylon by the DuPont Corporation. When nylon stockings first hit the market, they were incredibly durable. Women could wear the same pair for months, sometimes years, without a single run or tear. DuPont's executives panicked. Their sales were dropping, so they sent the engineers back to the lab with a specific mission: make the nylon weaker, make it prone to tearing. They deliberately degraded the chemical formula. Suddenly, women had to buy new stockings every few weeks. The product was mathematically engineered to fail. But as the decades passed, corporations got even smarter. Making things physically weaker was too obvious. People might complain. So in the modern era, they moved the planned obsolescence inside the brain of the machine. Take your typical home inkjet printer. One day, it just stops working. A red light blinks. The screen says, "Error, ink pad," at the end of its service life. You think a mechanical part is broken. You throw it away and buy a new one. But independent repair experts took these printers apart. They found a tiny EEPROM chip on the motherboard. This chip's only job is to count exactly how many pages you print. Once it hits a specific pre-programmed number, it permanently disables the printer. Nothing is physically broken. The motor is fine. The gears are fine. It is a digital assassination. The manufacturer put a kill switch in a device you paid for just to force you to buy another. Which brings us to the ultimate masterpiece of planned obsolescence, the smartphone industry. 20 years ago, if your phone battery died, you slid off the plastic back, took it out, and put a new one in for 20 bucks. It took 10 seconds. Today, your battery is entombed inside a seamless glass block. It is glued down with industrial adhesives. They even use proprietary strain-shaped screws so your screwdrivers won't work. Why? Because batteries degrade chemically. It's science. Every manufacturer knows that after 500 charge cycles, the battery will hold less power. If you can't replace the battery, the entire $1,000 phone becomes a disposable item. They deliberately married the cheapest, fastest dying component to the most expensive hardware. And then there's the software. In 2017, Apple was caught secretly throttling the performance of older iPhones. When you downloaded the new iOS update, the phone quietly slowed down your processor. They claimed it was to prevent unexpected shutdowns due to old batteries, but they never told the users. They never gave them a choice. They just made millions of people believe their phone was suddenly too old and slow. Apple eventually apologized and paid a $500 million settlement. But $500 million is nothing compared to the billions they made from people upgrading out of sheer frustration. We live in an economy built on the intentional fragility of things. Engineers used to be paid to make things durable. Now, they are paid to calculate exactly when it is most profitable for a product to die. It's a psychological trick. When your screen cracks or your washing machine breaks a week after the warranty expires, you blame yourself. You think you were careless. You think you just had bad luck. But you didn't. You are playing a game where the rules were rigged in a smoky room in Geneva 100 years ago. They don't want to sell you a product. They want to sell you a subscription to a lifestyle. They want you constantly replacing, upgrading, and discarding. But there is a resistance forming. The right to repair movement is fighting to force companies to sell spare parts and provide repair manuals. Governments are finally starting to investigate planned software death. You have the power to step off the treadmill. You can learn to fix a screen. You can refuse to buy devices sealed with glue. Because the next time your device dies exactly when the new model is announced, I want you to remember the light bulb in California. We have the technology to make things last a lifetime. The only reason they don't is because they are too busy emptying your pockets. Stay awake. Stop accepting broken things as normal. And whatever you do, don't buy the new update.